Yo, JD here, Tyrolus, and as you can see, we are in our first league race on F1 2017, and I really have been looking forward to this moment because, as you know, last game I wasn't a fan of, and for this so far, whenever I've been playing F1 2017, I've just really enjoyed it. The first time I've enjoyed an F1 game for quite a few years now. And I've been really hyped about this. And this is the Esports series where the semi-finals and finals are on a wheel. So if you don't know, I'm mainly a controller player, which I'm using the pad in this video. But I really did this because I just wanted to just race against some of the best names again. And I was just really just hungry to show what I could do and just to race again. That's what I love doing, and the reason why I'd started this channel and in this community in the first place is because I just love racing. And we're at China here today in the Sauber, and this is my lap that actually counted. With the 12-minute sessions, you only really get 2 runs if you want to do like 1 lap. I don't really go for more than 1 lap on the same tyre because of tyre wear. But this lap here it's okay. It was actually fairly scruffy. It wasn't that great. And my PB round here is actually a 31.8. So I know there's a lot of time in this, and the setup I'm using is exactly the same setup I'm using in my Hot Lap and Setup series, a 4.4 wing I believe, and it works incredibly well, especially in a race. It's really nice on the tyres and just very fast, very controlled, and you're just able to push all the time without getting much wear and everything. So this lap has gone okay so far. I think the corner after the first sector actually went in deep and completely slid through that corner, so definitely a lot of time to make up, I knew. And if you didn't know, track evolution in this game, you definitely go a lot quicker towards the end of a session where the track actually grips up. So I knew there was about 3 or 4 temps left in the tank, possibly another couple temps with a couple of mistakes. So going over the line now, we actually are on a provisional pole at the moment with a 32.4, and I was pretty surprised by that, but I didn't expect it to be that quick. I expected it to be like a 7 or something. It didn't feel that great. So I know coming into this now, we've definitely got the track evolution on our side as Bamley actually puts in a 32.2, so I know that's definitely beatable. And you can see we're already up on our time going into the first corner itself was ready. So we're going to go through here now, and if I can read the screen properly, I think we're almost going to be 2 temps up actually going to the first sector alone. So I knew I was on a good one at this point, but it's just a case of keeping it together. And as I said, yeah, I was really excited to race against some, just race against some good players again. And it just felt nice because it's been a long time where I've actually felt, to be honest, really actually confident in myself in my own driving. So on this game, I do feel I have that confidence back like I did on 13, 14 and other games. And just, I think the main thing for me is that I'm just really enjoying myself playing, and if I enjoy myself, then I actually get the best and the more out of myself. So hopefully you're enjoying the content and my driving and stuff as well. So hopefully there'll be plenty more of that to come. As you can see now, we're almost 3 temps. Well, we are 3 temps up on our time. I know I can make up some time in the last sector too. So come around here, really important this corner. I actually short shift this corner, which is something I don't really do with my driving style that often. Where I actually tend to rev out the gears quite a bit. That's really just my style, and I just don't really even notice it when I'm driving. But for that corner, short shifting definitely does help. So braking just before the 100-meter board for this. Don't really need to hit the apex, just get the good exit speed. That's all you need out here. And for this is just before the shadow. That's your braking point, but we actually turn too early going across the line now, and I think that is a 32.1. So I think at end of that would have been just enough for P2. Disappointing. I was actually pretty annoyed at myself because I knew, I did my fastest lap on the first set of tyres, which, you can go a lot quicker. So 5 lights now, and away we go. And as I said, pretty frustrating in that qualifying because I knew I could have got P2, maybe from pole with a better lap. But coming into this now, I was really determined to just have fun and just show what I could do. That's really what I wanted in this race, just to show my pace of what my potential is, just give a taste of what it is, and that's what I wanted to do. And I just wanted to race as hard as possible. So we're already made up a position up into 3rd place here, and we're going to try and go around the outside of flying fence, so trying to get a good traction off here with the 50 differential. That definitely does help quite a bit. So getting alongside, going for his fast left-hander, staying in 6th gear, holding it in 6th gear through here. And we're going to think about going around the outside, trying to get the inside for a double left, because I really wanted to not let Lee get away. So we're down the inside, and we were already into 2nd place, taking a racing line here, turning as much lock as possible as Finn actually goes out wide. So we were using as much lock as possible, but we had the corner. We were in 2nd place at the time, and now it's the case of chasing down Bam Lee, which if you didn't know, is actually Dizzy Cupid as well. So great start, pretty much a perfect start to a race so far. And as I said, I was really desperate to just make up some positions, because I did not want the leader to get away, because in practice, and the amount of time I did have to practice this race and just driving this track quite a lot online as well, I knew what kind of pace I could actually show. So right now I was just purely focused on just getting in my own rhythm of the race and just doing myself justice of just trying to put the consistent and quick laps I know I can do. And with this setup around here and me just really enjoying this track, I knew that it was going to be quite difficult for Lee to actually pull away from me. So if I could just get my head down, not make mistakes, just really focus on just the braking points, just the basics really, just the braking points, and getting good traction off corners like this, which I feel is really important around here, then I felt if we could just drive our best, then we have a good chance of winning this race. And as I said, the confidence, I just haven't really had this kind of confidence for a long time now. And I just really believed in myself again. I know it sounds pretty cheesy actually saying that, but on this game I do. And I feel if I can actually just drive properly and just cut out any mistakes or anything, and everything goes my way, then we've got a good chance of winning quite a few races this season. So on to the middle of lap 2 now. You can see we've actually started to catch in, especially under braking as well. We're actually catching Bam Lee here, and Dirty Air comes into effect definitely in this game. But we're going to try and get past him as quick as possible. And that was my tactic right now, just to cruise up to the back of him, just drive smart. And we're trying to avoid actually sliding the car. I could definitely throw in the car a lot more than what I was doing. But tyre wear, it wasn't really a main issue, but still not really not trying to wheel spin too much and not trying to slide at all, because if you do too much lock, you will definitely slide. So try to look after our tyres a little bit as well. But I know the Dirty Air is a big effect, so there's no point really pushing that maximum. But as we do a 36.1, which is a pretty good time, I think in practice I was doing like 35.7s or something like that when I was actually in clear air. So we know we've got the pace right now, and at this point I was just thinking to myself, just take your time. We've got DRS's next lap, we've got a decent buffer behind us as well, and we were just feeling really good. I was feeling just really controlled at this point. I felt I just was driving with it myself, and you can see under braking again we're gaining a lot of time, and on traction as well. So I feel just a combination for setup and everything, it just felt like it was clicking at this point. And right now we're just going to wait for the DRS straight. If we can get a good exit off there, which I really feel is important, to get a really good slingshot off that corner, is what I really describe. I really describe it as doing a really late apex, but trying to like, how to explain really, like elastic band, just slowly wind up and then just unleash it coming off the corner. So you can see probably a good example here. So I think we go short shift, slow in the apex, but trying to get a good exit as we've got a little bit of turbulent air, changing our tyres into intermediates because I think it's going to rain soon as well. So going to rich mix, DRS, thinking of going for the gap for left, but the gap is not actually there, so we're going to move over to the right, spotting the braking point just before 100 metres, going full lock to the right, clipping the apex nicely, going absolutely full lock. Didn't really mean to squeeze in there, there's nothing really we could do, we were going full lock, so there's not much else we could have done. And we've actually gone into the lead of the Esports round 1 at China, moving on to lap 4 now. And as I said, I was feeling really good at this point. I think we're going to stay on board here because this is the lap where I think we actually almost break out of DRS, so this is crucial now. And at this point, this is where I was really pushing. I was really going to push now to try and eke out a gap as much as possible, because as you can see, the rain has actually started to come down, and I haven't really done much of the wet in this game or dynamic weather where it's actually changing conditions. And going through my head was just flashbacks to China in previous AOR seasons, where I think it was 2 seasons ago, where I was leading in the wet, and then I just made the wrong strategy call. So right now, I was trying to really block that out of my mind, and just, as I said, as I did back in the old days on 13, 14, and those games where I had really, really good confidence on, just to focus on my own race and just focus on hitting apexes like that, not to try and miss any, and just know that if I drive near my potential, what I can do, then it's going to be difficult for other people in this race to challenge me. So as you can see, we've got quite a decent lead already, so I was quite surprised, but I was really, really happy. And when you eke out a gap more like that as well, it only just adds more to the confidence. So coming off here, making sure to get a really good traction exit. As you can see, switching between sand and rich, which I feel is quite important in this game as well. Coming on to the end of lap 4, and I think we're going to be out of DRS zone, which we should be able to see 1.1 seconds. And we're moving on to end of lap 10 now, and I can tell you, we've been really, really consistent, actually extending the gap even more to about 2.3 seconds. And you can see now it's starting to rain quite, well, not badly, but it's definitely raining quite a bit. But the grip is actually surprisingly still pretty good, but we're forced to pit this lap because our tyre wear is hitting nearly 70%. And I was speaking to Noble2909 and Tim at Marduk, we're all in the same party as well. But to be honest, you may think I was crazy for this, but I was going to go on mediums anyway because the dries are still working. I don't think it's raining hard enough for the wets to really go into effect. And I think at this point, Tim at Marduk actually pitting on the wets or the intermediates the lap before, and he said they weren't working at all. So we're going to go on the medium tyre. Despite it raining on track, it seems to take a long time in this game, really, for just the tyres to actually switch. Even though the rain comes on quite quickly, it takes almost 5 to 7 laps really for it to actually switch. So we have to pit, otherwise we would have been risk at a puncture. Going on the medium tyre, not getting a really great exit off here. And now let's see how much grip we actually had. And the grip feels good at this point. It feels really, really good. And we'll be able to look at the dot behind us, which is STFS Alonso, F1 Alonso, which is the Flying Finn's brother. And if you just pay attention to that yellow dot on there, you'll be able to see he is struggling big time. And look at the traction we've got. We've got such good traction coming off here. And right now, I felt I made the right call. I felt I've actually nailed this strategy. And I was just really, really happy that I've actually felt like finally a race is actually coming together after so long. Everything has actually come together. And you can see now, I think Noble was actually going to overtake him going into his double left. ESR Ryan's actually stayed out, so I think he started further down the grid so he could actually start on the soft tyre. So it's actually working out really well for him. So we can't really not pay attention. We've got to still pay attention, actually closing in Ryan, because he's quite a way up the road. He's 12 seconds up the road, as Noble has actually gone into 3rd place as well. So pretty impressive from him, since he hasn't really been in the competitive scene for a good few years now. And you can see the gap. We've almost got an 8-second lead on the cars behind. And again, it's just now it's the case of really pushing as hard as I can in these conditions, but also keeping it on track, being consistent, and just keeping your head. Just take it lap by lap. Try not to lose any concentration, and trying to get a good exit off here, which we managed to do. So using lean mix, as I said, really, really helps. And I really enjoy driving in these conditions where it's such a big challenge on the wet tyres, or on the dry tyres in the wet when it's slippery. Probably one of my favourite conditions I have in F1 games before. So now we've got to close in on ESR Ryan, and I think we're skipping on to 4 laps later, and we've actually closed in on that gap. So the gap now, we're within DRS, or not DRS, but actually in a chance to actually overtake him. And we've got to look at the gap behind. So it was about 8 seconds. Let's see what the gap is with Noble. And we've been driving very, very well. And it's 10 seconds now. So we've actually gained probably 2 or 3 seconds in about 4 laps. So everything is just clicking into place at this point. And I felt I was driving on the top level, what I know I can do. And it was just working so well. And again, I think we've got still staying at 10 seconds. So we're on to a lap extra now. And at this point, you can see the rain. It's looking about the same, but track is looking a bit wetter. But my engineer, who I have to speak in subtitles because I can't actually hear him, he said the rain is actually easing off. So the rain wasn't meant to get any worse, but the track is still just getting wetter. And you can see now STFS F1 Alonso has actually got into second place, and now it looks like the intermediates have actually started to become the quicker tyres. So even though the rain intensity hasn't actually gone up, it appears that the track is now just getting wetter and wetter. And you can see, I think he's about 10 or about 9 or so seconds behind us now. And we're moving on to the next lap, and you can see we have lost so much time, and that's where I probably made a mistake, where I should have pitted at the end of last lap, because now the mediums are just not working. Even though there's still a decent amount of grip, it looks like the intermediates are just going so much faster. We've always been caught by 7 seconds in that lap, so we've got to go in the pits. We've got no choice. And the reason why I stuck it out is because my engineer said the rain was actually stopping. It still continues, so a little bit unlucky, but I think we should have pitted last lap as well. But the rain said it was stopping, which is the reason why we actually stayed out. But now we're going to go on the intermediate tyre, so hopefully you can get an undercut on them and hopefully still maintain this lead. But I imagine the ESR Ryan, as you can see, he's already gone past, so he's gained a massive amount of time. Or what you can do, so we've got a lap fresher tyres, I think, and now it's game on again. And it is frustrating at this time, because I felt I drove really, really well, but again, it just seems to be the strategy. But I don't really blame myself for going on the medium tyres. I blame myself for just not pitting a lap or 2 laps earlier, because the mediums were working, and then all of a sudden in 1 lap we started losing about 7 seconds. So as you can see, Alonso's come out of the pits now, so we haven't really even gained much time there. I think the gap's pretty much almost the same. So because of the wet tyres, his tyres are still relatively in good condition, so they're not going to be losing too much pace as we're going on to towards the end of lap 19 now. And we've got really good pace in this, maintaining Alonso behind us, who's got slightly better tyres than us, but we're going to go down the inside of, I fortunately can't read his name, but go down the inside, and hopefully he doesn't overtake us back in the straight. And it looks like the win is out of the question now. But again, this race I can't really be too disappointed, because I felt I've driven in terms of actual driving or what I can do. I haven't actually really made mistakes on track. It's just not pitting at the right time. But now we're moving on to the end of lap 22, and now we've got to catch Ryan. As you can see, lap before he was a long way in front, so we have done really well to actually close in on this gap and actually still maintain Alonso behind us, so he's still not threatening us. And we're going to go into the pits now, because it's actually starting to be dry, and we've actually chosen the soft tyre. And you're probably wondering why I've done that. And the reason why I've done that is because when the track is still wet, the harder compounds actually work better in wet conditions, as you can see with the mediums. If you put on super soft again, we would have been sliding around all over the place. So we've gone for the soft, even though the super soft can easily do about 10 laps. But as it was still wet, I felt I would go on the soft, and I was hoping it would just be quicker than the super soft in these damp conditions. And if you're sliding too much around on the super soft, they're only really quick for about 3 or 4 laps. So that was really my thinking at this point. As we're able to see now, we've got really good grip right now, and it feels good. So it looks like we definitely made the right decision, at least, to stay on the dry tyres. So go see what the traction's like coming out of here. And yeah, the traction's pretty good. As you can see, we're leaving Alonso behind us a little bit on that traction zone. So at this point, I was thinking, yes, we've actually made the right decision. We're starting to slide out a little bit. So it looks like EP3 Murphy is about to get lapped. And I was hoping he would let me through in the right, but for some reason he doesn't. I don't know if he can't see me or anything, but that was a little bit annoying. But nevertheless, we still got past him, and now it's the case of closing down Ryan, which we move on to 2 laps later, and we've managed to do that. So on the slower compound, it seems to be working better in these conditions at this point. As you can see, we've still got Alonso. We're still maintaining that gap behind. So I think we're the quickest car on track at this moment in time. I think everyone else has gone super soft, but we've gone for something a little bit different. And we're going to go around the outside of ESR Ryan with the DRS rich mix, spotting our braking point slightly earlier, probably about 150 meters for this, clipping the apex, and that is us into a podium position. And if we could have got a podium despite having to make that extra stop, because the 2 guys ahead of us have done one less stop than us, and considering how far behind they were as well, that would have been something at least. But I was disappointed not to be fighting for the win. I felt I had the pace in all conditions, really. I just didn't have the strategy right, as we set the fastest lap temporarily, so it's faster than the guys ahead of us on the super softs. but that is beaten by Alonso, who's now starting to close up on us. So it looks like the track is now really completely drying, and we're suffering on these tyres. So the pace advantage that we had in the damp conditions with a soft tyre, that looks like it's gone out the window now. And it looks like the super soft tyres, since they can easily do about 10 laps fresh as well, so probably even more, we're starting to be beaten on the traction zones and braking points. So it's going to be a fight now to actually keep Alonso behind. But as I said again, I don't really regret going on these tyres, because I think initially it was the right call, but now we're on the slower compound and we've just got to try and just maintain him behind him. If we can do that, then as I said, I'll probably be pretty happy. So focusing, getting a good exit coming off here now, and off the slingshot corner, really, really important. But we're using quite low wings, so I was hoping he wouldn't be using similar or any lower or anything. So trying to get a good exit now, short shifting, 5th gear, rich mix. Still got about almost a lap's worth of fuel left, and he's quite far behind at this point, but it looks like he's closing in quite quickly on DRS, so he will definitely have DRS now. And at this point I was debating whether defending, because I didn't want to get a poor exit, but it looks like he's dive bombed down the inside and we've actually turned into him, and that was unfortunate, because I was kind of expecting to do that, but I was just pretty much hoping he didn't, as we've actually got damage on our car as well. And if you get a little bit of damage in this game, or even last year's game, you're going to be losing almost like half a second a lap. And with the dirty air effect as well, it's going to be very hard to actually overtake him now. But as always, we're not going to give up. We're going to try and give it everything, hoping that the super soft tyre may be slightly going off at this point. So still getting a good exit off here, good traction, but it's going to be really difficult now. And yeah, disappointed of that, because I felt I probably should have defended rather than just give him a free option of going down the inside. But that wasn't his fault that he hit me or anything like that. He made a legitimate move. I just turned in and unfortunately clipped the back of his car. So yeah, you can see through here we're having quite a bit of understeer now and trying to get a good exit of this. So hopefully going into a long back straight, try and get as close as possible. If we can get in a DRS rich mix, hopefully he can't use rich, so clipping this apex, getting some good rotation for the car here, but we'll be able to see the car is just washing away. We can't get close to apex. You can see how much time we've lost through the dirty air, and we're going to see if we get any slipstream, but it looks like now we're going to have to settle for 4th place. And yeah, disappointing, but to be honest, I was actually just happy with just having the pace again and just feeling that I can just deliver it whilst being under control as well. And I was just really, really happy with that. So we're going to go home in 4th place, hoping for something better in the future rounds, but it gives me a lot of confidence going into this AOR season and other races I do. And yeah, it feels good to really just be back again and hoping to just do more performances like that in future. So that is the Esports round 1 at China. Round 2 will be at Bahrain, live stream, and will be on Fizzy's channel, commentated by EVR Matt and Ryan L83. So hopefully you enjoyed the stream and his highlights as well. Thank you so much for the support recently, as always. I really, really do appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the game as well, and I will see you for setup videos soon. They are still coming. Unfortunately, with full-time work and everything, it's just very, very difficult to find time, but I promise you they are still coming as well. So thank you so much, and I will see you next video.